Okay, so I got the drawings here in front of me. I went ahead and redacted the name of the job and everything because, well, probably shouldn't show that. So, what I like to do is first I'm going to read through all these notes here and see what's important. And I like to start with the structural steel because that's what is going to be most important to me. And here I'm using Bluebeam and I'm going to use the rectangle command or the highlight command. Either one doesn't matter. So I like to go through and highlight what's important for me. So I know that I need to know that all my wide flanges are going to be H or A992, and everything else is going to be 36. My tubes are going to be grade C, and then I got headed studs. So we just read through all of these to see if anything else needs to be highlighted to make sure that we keep our attention. And then if I see something I need to ask the project manager about, I will come in and put a cloud with a note on it. Ignore my typing. I fat finger a lot of things sometimes. So just do a quick glance of the rest of these notes. And we might even fast forward through some of this stuff. You don't want to spend hours watching me read notes. That doesn't sound like it would be fun to anybody. Okay, so we went through the notes. Now let's look at the drawings. Right now, I don't even I while I care what's on these drawings, what I want to do is go and highlight the stuff off that isn't in my scope. So this is where I use the rectangle command. So like I can go, I'm not picking up the rebar or concrete, so this section's not that important to me. Uh, I don't care about the dowels. I don't care about the existing stuff. I don't care about vapor barriers, rebars, or filler. And I'll do that. I'm going to go through and do that with every section here. If you're wondering why I did not highlight the non-shrink grout, is because I need to know that there's going to be at least an inch of grout below my columns. Um, I find doing this before I jump into the job fully just helps me because in my brain, if it's pink, I don't see it anymore. Uh, so it doesn't look like there's going to be that much on this one that I'm not responsible for. This is just a little crane rail job. So you can see we're going to have columns, we're going to have some beams that go across, and then we have crane supports or crane railway supports with a crane rail beam on top of them. Uh, and then here we're seeing what the connections they want us to use are going to be. So it looks like they've spelled everything out pretty well. Like we can see that they're wanting us to use 4x4 by half clips, and where we're bolting beam to beam or wide flange to wide flange, we're going to use 3/4 inch bolts. 3/8 gusset plates, 4x4x1/4 braces. Um, we're using double clip angles for the 1250s at the top, double clip angles here, and I would think we're going to use double clip angles here. Um, I'm not seeing a specific detail for that. He gives us our splice detail. So he wants a bolted splice in the web with full pinned flanges. And that's our last sheet. So this is a little 7-sheet job if you count the first sheet, which is a title sheet. So now that we've got this done, I'm going to take this over. I will minimize this screen, and I am going to be working this job in SDS2 2025-1. So I'm going to create a new job, and I know that our job number is 260011. I am going to copy this job from our seed file that we have created, and I want to use my source project and my source project for shapes and templates. I have it set to 1,000 members. Uh, that's probably right. It's probably enough, and if not, we can always increase it along the way. We'll say OK here. So now you can see that we are in our 260011 job, and our fabricator is our seed file. So before I click the modeling button, I want to go through and do setup. So I'll bring this back over, and I'm going to use a desk pin. So you can see here on my Stream Deck, I have a bunch of buttons, and this one that looks like a thumbtack, that is desk pins. And I click this, and you can see it put a little pin right here. The reason I did that is since we work on a cloud, if I click this screen, this is going to go behind it, and I want to be able to see this screen for right now. Usually I would just put it on this monitor over here, but since I'm trying to show you guys some things, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff a little different. So first thing I want to do is find my base plates, which is this base plate right here, and we can see that it's a 1/2 inch by 17 by 1'8" base plate with 4 1-inch Hilti bolts with 6 inches minimum embed. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go over here to connections. I'm going to go to base plates, and I'm going to modify the standard BP1 that SDS2 gives us, and I'm going to make this a 1/2 inch by 17 by 1'8". I want to, and there we go. So in the column spacing, which would be this one, I would want that to be the 6 inches we see here. And this one would be the 13 inches we see here. So if you look at our picture here, it's telling us the row spacing is this way, column spacing is this way. I don't have anchor bolts. I'm going to go with oversized hose, and these are 1-inch Hiltis. So I'm just going to say 1 inch. Oops, that jumped down because I'm in my Bluebeam screen. So I want to 1 5/16 hose with A36 plate, unless he spells differently, which he is not. So that is what that's going to be. So you can see the bad weld symbol here. It's not going to be a 1/4 inch long fillet weld. It's going to be a 1/4 inch fillet weld all around, and we don't need the top fillet because that's just wrong. So we're going to weld it all around. It's going to be a fillet with a 1/4 inch. So there we have our base plate. And this is popping up saying, hey, if there's anything on the drawings, it's going to be changed. I haven't started anything, so we're okay. We say okay there, say okay here. So auto standard connections, like we saw here, he's wanting double clip angles. So I'm going to go to wide flange to wide flange. This is going to be beam to column. So in the flange, perpendicular, I want clip angles. That's what I have set. He wants us to use 3/4 inch bolts. That's what we have set here. He says A325 ends, but we're going to use the F1852 ends because we always supply TC bolts. They're 3/4 inches thick, and I want a 1/16 clearance on the opposite side. So we'll look at the web perpendicular. Everything looks the same. So the only thing that we need to look at if we're in the web, we need to make sure we have safety connections per OSHA. So that gets us that. Stiffeners will be handled later. Section 2 here is where we are going to have moment connections, which is fine. We will do that whenever we are modeling it. We got our kickers we see, which is fine. So I'm going to click the job button again, and I want to go to standard fabricator connections. I'm going to go to clip angles, and let's look at his. He wants 5.5 inch centers with 3 inch spacing. So here's our 5.5, 4 inch for the narrow gauge. So he's saying that we're going to use 4x4.5. So we're going to hit OK here. We're going to go down back to fabricator, piece marking, and we want to go to bolted, and wide gauge. And here we're going to change this because we are using a 4x4 by half. And we will say OK because that's telling us that we want those bolted. Let's jump back and look at here. Oops, I don't want to highlight anything. So we are using bolted connections everywhere, which is great because that's what our shop likes. So we don't need to go through every single one of these. We only need to go through the ones that matter. So since we already have our job setup done, everything is set up except for usually the connections. So like if he was saying that we needed 1/2 inch gusset plates, I would come in here and I would change our minimum gusset to 1/2 inch. But since it's 3/8, that's what we already have set up. So let's keep looking just to see if there's anything else I need to set up. Uh, it doesn't look like there is because we don't have any cap plates. We have our base plates already put in. So I would say we are good to go on here. Uh, I mean, we could look at some other things. So I know that he said he wants his tubes to be grade C. That's what we always supply. So that's why I haven't come in here to change this. Our angles are automatically set to 36. Our channels are 36. Flat bars, 36 again. We don't have grading on this job. We look at our wide flanges, they're automatically set to 8992. So our grades are all correct. If we look at our bolts, bolt settings here, I only want SDS2 to use 3/4 and 1 inch bolts. That way I know that if it doesn't work with one of these bolts, it's something I really need to look at. And sometimes I'll even turn off the 1 inch bolts. And I think I will on this one. So on this one, I'm only going to go with 3/4 inch bolts. This is just saying if we have a gap of up to 1 inch, it'll still bolt it. Shop gap is only 1/8. This is our minimum length is 1 inch. Minimum stick through is 1/8. Maximum stick through is 3/4. This is for non-moment bolts. We're using F1852s. Moment bolts. They're slip critical. But the nice thing is on this one, it does not look like we are responsible for any connection design. So here, if we look at our edge distances here, when we do 3/4 inch bolts, we want 1.5 inch edge distance everywhere. If it's a long slot, we want 1 5/8. That is our shop preference. Surface finishes, we only use 3. So you can see that all of these are hid. So we only use painted, unpainted, and galvanized. So say, okay, everything is defaulted to painted. We've already looked at the connections, the design. which on this one, like we said, we don't have connection design involved. He's already supplied our connections. So he is not saying what the design code is, if it's ASD or if it's uh, LRFD. So I don't believe we need to look at that. Um, see what else is there in here that we want to look at. Our sheets and reports, we don't need to look at. Detailing, it's set up the way we want it set up. Uh, concrete, we don't mess with concrete. We don't do rebar. Stair treads, there are no stairs on this job. We don't use routings. Um, we do have custom properties set up, but they're all already activated. And you can see here's our member properties. So nothing we need to do here. So I'm just going to click OK. And now we're going to hit the go back to the home button. So that is a quick view of how I set things up in SDS2. Next, I'm going to start modeling some things. And if I see something that's important, I will show you guys. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. I know this is probably a quick video, and but I hope I sounded a lot more comfortable than those first two, because even me, I felt that they were rough. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, just give it a like, throw a comment down there if you feel like it. Uh, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.